It is good to be here doing this once again. I mean, this is now, feels like just yesterday. We were doing this in 2020, gearing up for a presidential election. And of course, some days it feels like the last 4 years went incredibly slow. Yet in the blink of an eye, here we are getting ready for the Iowa caucuses again, coming up in just a couple of weeks. Can't believe it. So at 6:20 in what is our first show of 2024, I was thinking about it last night. I said, okay, the top 5 stories of the new year. What are they? What will they be? I'm going to count them down right now from 5 to 1 and give them to you in order here as we get this new year started. At number 5, I've got foreign policy and the border. And I'm putting these things into one bucket for sake of the list. But obviously, we know the border here over the last month was an absolute disaster. In the month of December, sources tell Fox News there were more than 302,000 migrant encounters, the highest monthly total ever recorded. Since October 1st, the number was 785,000 encounters, the highest quarter on record, according to Fox News. So you combine that with the fact that the world is going to hell in a handbasket, right? You've got the Middle East, I don't want to say and overreact and say it's on fire, but certainly in a very precarious situation right now. You've got still Vladimir Putin out there at war with Ukraine. And we've got a wide open border, and nobody has any idea who's coming into this country and what their motivations are. I saw yesterday, JFK Airport in New York City, there were delays all over the place because there was a pro-Palestinian protest where they were shutting down the streets to get into JFK yesterday on one of the busiest travel days of the year. So you put these two, to me, in the same bucket, where you've got the border combined with foreign policy and how that plays out in this country by our leaders over the next 12 months may have and will have an enormous role in what the world looks like over the next 10 years. At number 4 on the list for top stories to watch nationally in 2024, Joe Biden's health. I mean, I can goof on his answers to Ryan Seacrest the other night as we did to open up the show, but it really is scary that this guy is the president of the United States and the mental acuity is not close to being at the level that it needs to be. And physically, he's toast. This is not a man physically or mentally who is in a position to lead, forget this country, Timbuktu. He's not positioned to lead any country at this point in time. And you have seen that deterioration over the last, I mean, really, it's expedited itself over the last 12 to 18 months. But we've witnessed it, obviously, for his entire first term here. But these next 6 to 8 months, really 6 months, are going to be very telling. Because there's still a possibility he could not be the nominee. But the wheels have to get moving on that, and they have to get moving very quickly. And if I'm anybody in charge of the DNC watching Joe Biden over the last even just couple of days, watching an interview with Ryan Seacrest, I'm sitting there saying to myself, there's no way we can do this again for another 4 years based on where the world is today. At number 3 for the top 5 stories 2024 to keep an eye on nationally, the media landscape, which is changing rapidly. We know that, you know that. I mean, we're trying to adapt with the times. We got the big FM frequency on 95.7. So we're trying to do our part and do what we can to keep up, to make sure that people can find us and tune in and be a part of the show and make sure that we're not falling behind. So we're doing what we can do. But when you look at just media in general, cable news, it's going through upheaval. They are desperate for a huge political year on cable news. Now, I don't think they're going to get it. Donald Trump is not, the new shiny object that he was back in 2015 when he gave a huge ratings bounce to these cable news outlets and the talk radio as well. But I don't think that's going to happen this year. It was huge in 16, less so in 20, but still big because of COVID, Trump re-election, everything else, summer of love. I don't think that's going to happen this year. I don't. And the media will continue to become more fragmented. Options will increase. And you're going to have to work harder than ever to figure out what's real and what's not real. So, no, we're always going to keep it real here on KCMO. But understand, you're going to see a lot of stuff over the next 12 months that is just factually inaccurate. But the sad part is I don't know how you stop it, because I don't want the government getting involved in, what's real news and what's fake news. So it's going to have to be up to you and us to decipher what's real and what's not. At number 2 on the list for top 5 stories to watch in 2024 from a national perspective, I put this all in the one: the Fed, inflation, the economy. Will the Federal Reserve really start cutting rates in 2024 in what will look like a very political move if they start doing that? Plus, I don't think the economy is there right now. I don't see the incentive to start cutting rates, because we are a couple of rate cuts away from inflation once again skyrocketing past 5%. I know it's calmed down here, but I don't want any part of that. And if Jerome Powell really does start cutting rates this year and start goosing the economy, people are going to start yelling, I would argue rightfully so until I see the data proving otherwise, that he's potentially trying to influence the election. Because every election, for the most part, is about the economy. And people have not been feeling good about the economy, despite the record-setting stock market and everything else. Main Street's not feeling it. So that's number 2 on the top 5 stories to watch in 2024. And number 1